so I need to have a trigger warning in front. I have no single formula in my presentation. And I have no single line of code. So if you want to leave, leave now. Just as a short kind of introduction who we are, P3. I have one slide with me. I don't want to spend 5 minutes presenting the company because I think you'll learn more about the company if you speak with people who work with them. And I need to leave after lunch. So that's why 3 guys of P3 are here. Will you stand up? So these are the guys you need to talk to learn a little bit more about P3 later on. Just for you as an information, P3 is a kind of consulting company. It's mainly engineers. We're 15 years old, 300 million kind of revenue in total. It's a group of companies. So it's actually 21 companies. And if someone kind of comes up with a great idea, we build another company. So it's kind of an entrepreneurial kind of sandbox. If you have something to provide as a value, you just raise your voice and you get kind of stuff and money if needed. And we are active in 3 major markets. So these are the big ones, which is automotive, aviation, and telecommunications. There's roughly about 90% of the revenue, and the rest is kind of split to kind of smaller kind of plants like engineering and storage, energy and storage, and that kind of thing. And we're also active, with the K I see, I'm sorry for that one. We're active in visualization and also the Industry 4.0 and advanced analytics. So this is kind of the buzzwords which kind of everyone kind of puts out here. What we do is the typical stuff like management support, network measurement testing, and actually who has heard about P3 before? Just raise your hand to just check if you're still alive. Okay, 10 people. Who knows the Connect magazine in Germany? It's a kind of special interest paper. And inside this Connect magazine is once a year a test of who has the best network, who is the most colorful, most sharp. And this one is performed by P3 as an example. And so typically kind of our customers know us, but not our competition, which is a good advantage. And yeah, another kind of principle of the company is that we're not leaving when the first slides are ready, but we typically leave when the first prototype is running. So that's why we work with what you saw here, but I don't talk in that detail about what we do. Okay, that was basically it. So anyone wants to leave because of no formulas? No? Good. We talk about responsibility. And I saw some interesting kind of analysis in the past which were done, so I think the kind of soccer thing is not really critical in terms of moral, yeah? But there are others, and I would like to kind of guide you a little bit about what's going on there and probably give you some food for thought. So it's more of a light talk, you can relax, yeah, and look to the pictures, and because I'm the only one between you and me. So this was kind of inspired by an excellent paper. You can find it there. It's much more detailed than it's kind of a summary which I did. So who knows where this picture is taken? Anyone saw it before? Look at that guy, he's an early adapter. It was 2005, kind of the announcement who should be Pope. Yeah. And this is the same picture some years ago, some years later. So things have changed, things have dramatically changed, especially when we're talking about using data, aggregating data, using information you can collect, everyone can collect on those kind of devices. Yeah? So if you're talking about football, if you ever try to look into the terms and conditions of FIFA 15 for example, do that. If you play, or your friends or your children play FIFA 15, give it a try. So basically the world has really changed, everything is digital, and users really leave kind of everywhere they go, whatever they do, even on their smart devices, they leave traces, and we do something with that traces. Yeah, that's our job. So you probably and I. And yeah, things can go kind of get creepy. So what's creepy? It's kind of there's no clear definition. Yeah, but if you see it, it's like have this kind of the hairs go up. You say, okay, wow, let's think about it. And I want you to kind of think about what you did in the past and what you probably do in the future in terms of analysis you do. Think of how creepy they are, yeah? And think what you can do as an analyst to kind of still stay in a way that you feel comfortable. Yeah? And when we talk about creepiness, we need to talk about legal boundaries first, from my understanding. So we're in Germany, and in Germany there are two major kind of laws which are relevant. So this is the Bundesdatenschutzgesetz and the Telemediengesetz. There are similar concepts in the EU law. I come to that on the next slide. We don't need to go to kind of each and every kind of point here, but the key thing is that the left-hand side, Bundesdatenschutzgesetz, is everything which is kind of the offline world. So this is the kind of old economy, and we're talking here. And the Telemediengesetz is basically everything which has to be done with apps, with web pages, with applications, devices, smart watches, whatever you're thinking. And the key thing is, kind of to summarize it in one kind of line, is if you have the consent of the user to collect data, then you can pretty do anything. So that's why I urge you to read Terms and Conditions of FIFA 15 or any other app which is free in the App Store, because if the app is free, you order product. Yeah? So, and the key thing is you need to have, that's the common understanding, twice the kind of consent of the user that he's willing to share the data with you. And with an app environment, the first consent is installing the app already. This is the first consent. And the second consent is then typically what comes up in each and every app, the kind of terms and conditions, and the 90 pages when you do an iOS 10 update. So that's the law. There is something changing in the near future. In May 2018, there is a kind of EU thing which comes up, which has really high fines if you kind of work against it. So companies are really keen to kind of follow that thing. This is the only kind of motivation you really can give. And there's also something which is different than in the past. In the past, in Germany at least, there's a concept of pseudonymous data. You have private data, anonymous data, and in between you have pseudonymous data, which is something like you still can relate. This is the same person which was Monday in Munich and Wednesday in Frankfurt, but you don't know who it is. That's pseudonymous. And that concept is not widely known, at least not outside of Germany. And there's also, it has a privilege at the moment, so even for this pseudonymous data, you don't need consent of the user for that. And this changes in 2018, so this changes a lot of business models in the future. And yeah, the industry is kind of hard to follow. Just, if you have any questions, raise it in between, because if you have 20 questions at the end, everyone will kind of looking at you and say, okay, another question and I want to have dinner. So if you have raised questions, do it now. Yeah. So next to that, there's also kind of, in Germany you say Selbstverpflichtungen, so the industry has a body and kind of says, okay, these are the rules we want to follow. Each and every kind of body has that kind of things. And the key thing is, there's a quote from Peter Fleischer. He had a kind of a blog post in 2012 on publishing pictures. And the key thing is the rules doesn't help as long as you don't self-restrain yourself to kind of something which you feel is kind of the right thing. And when we talk about pictures, we see a kind of pattern that emerges in the past, and I'll come to that in a minute. But I would like to kind of have that view. So we're not talking about what's illegal. We leave that out. Yeah? So, but even if you follow the law, you cannot hide behind the law and say, I follow the law. If you have kind of the shitstorm breaking loose because you created an application for Deutsche Bahn and something kind of went crazy there, then you are in the focus. So there is a slight kind of move between you're still legal, yeah, and then it starts already. It starts not directly to being okay. So you need to think about, am I still here in that black box, or am I already in a way where I think I can do something useful and not harm anyone? And we talk about privacy, one can think that this is a kind of new concept, but actually it's not. It's very interesting. So it's the tents of the tribe, of the nomads, which kind of went around the desert, already had the concept that the entries of those tents were not facing to each other. So some sort of privacy was kind of inherently in the village. Another example which I found very interesting, these are actually people sitting on a toilet and talking. So in the Romans had really no issue there. So that changed over the course of the years. Yeah? And the first kind of thing which really kind of went into something we could see as comparable to what we have now is that law, which was raised in 1890, and the main driver was instantaneous photography, where the guys kind of, the paparazzi, the first paparazzis came up, and people wanted to basically protect themselves and their privacy for that new technology, put it that way. Yeah. And you can see that this pattern of pictures kind of still is kind of new or kind of actual. Think of this. Would you go with a Google Glass in the photo room? So you need to understand that technology is kind of changing things, and that kind of the data which can be collected is kind of something you need to be using carefully and wisely. So what I have now kind of 3, 4, 5 different examples of analysis which kind of range from creepy or not creepy, and I would like them to still have you engaged, kind of have you kind of vote after each example. So if you think it's creepy, then hold your arm to the left side. If you think it's okay, hold your arm to the right side. Yeah? So the next example is something which Target did. Target is something like real estate, not real estate, like a PA, you say in Germany, where you kind of buy food and that kind of stuff. And they basically look at what their customers buy. Sure, that's interesting data. And one interesting young data engineer had the idea, let's create a pregnancy score. So the woman which kind of is pregnancy in her first kind of trimester is kind of buying some oily things to keep kind of her body kind of in shape, and it uses kind of additional supplements to eat, like calcium, etc. And they found a very good tool to identify pregnant women, and what they did as well is they really they've known already that they were kind of at the edge, because they were not sending a kind of a full-fledged flyer with kind of diapers and blah, blah, blah. It would be kind of just, they thought it was crazy, right? You never talked to that guy, and now suddenly you find something like this in the post shop. So they put next to the diapers, they put a sewing machine and some chocolates, etc., to kind of discuss these guys that they have in mind. And the story goes, it was actually kind of published at the time, that one father was kind of going back to them and saying, guys, what are you doing? My 17-year-old daughter got that kind of shitty flyer, and she's not pregnant. And kind of 2 weeks later, he had to kind of come back and say, sorry, there was something going on in my home which I didn't know. So, creepy or not creepy? Creepy or not creepy? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that was it. Another one. There was an app which was called Girls Around Me. It was basically using publicly available information like Foursquare logins and that kind of stuff, and to find venues which have a lot of girls kind of checking in instead of boys, etc. So this app was a big hit, and they used only data which is available, right? And Google pulled the plug after some, and they need to kind of pull out the the store, and also force to exchange the API. So, creepy or not creepy? So the girls are creepy. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Interesting. I have not thought about that. Still, a lot of people think it's not creepy. I found that interesting. So another one, who has not done this, right? Kind of you share the car, kind of like your daughter, you have a 6-year-old daughter which goes to school, and you share a carpool, and you look, okay, what are those guys which I put my daughter in the car? Yeah, who is that? Who's my neighbor? There are several other kind of examples, like you can find out what's the price point of the house on the other side of the street, etc. There's many services like this. And I think this is actually kind of common at the moment, at least this. Yeah, I do that. I have not Googled you yet, I'll do afterwards. And if you Google me, yeah, this is not me. You need to do that as well. Yeah. So it's always kind of about judging. So creepy or not creepy? So this is what we do. We collect information on smartphones about network performance. This is where we come from as a company. So we have an application which sits on your phone on Android and basically shows you what kind of gives you information about what's the data speed, what's the signal strength you have, what's the top core rate, very kind of technical details about mobile phone networks. And it shows this to you because we think that mobile, like network performance, mobile performance is like weather. It could be me sitting here in this building and have a perfect performance, and you sitting there on the other side of the building and could be shitty. So it could be the weather, yeah. On that side of the building could be sunshine, on that side it could be. So that's what we do. We have basically kind of a virtual drive test in the pockets. And we do this worldwide, so I see data from every country except the West Sahara and North Korea. Think about why. And what we do with that, so we show it to the user on one side, this is your personal data, and on the right-hand side we derive then kind of aggregate information about the Vodafones, the O2s, etc. of the world, and use that information to benchmark, to judge, to help them also to improve them. So this is what we do with our data. So creepy, not creepy?
People download this app.
Sure. Yeah. Creepy, not creepy? So, sure.
What does the user get? This is a free app on store, and you get your network coverage.
You get kind of visualize your personal performance. So you can see, okay, how good it is, how bad it is. You can dive in more detail into on a kind of daily basis and see, okay, yesterday was better than today, and that kind of stuff. So you can kind of search the bar which has the perfect coverage, and also use the app with the girls. Yeah.
Okay, usually the users are downloading it, installing it, they're using it, and they are with it.
Correct. We did another one. I do the creepy thing on that one as well, which is you all saw the hype on Pokemon Go on 6th of July this year, and we thought, okay, we need to use that hype and create an application which was called PokeFit. So it basically created out of a Pokemon Go session a fitness tracker. So we had an information on top of your Pokemon Go session. Okay, this is the number of calories I burned, this is the number of miles I walked, this is the time I spent, and for sure the same data gets collected. Creepy or not creepy? Yeah, it was not so successful. People kind of installed it and then kind of deinstalled it afterwards. But still, it's kind of data coming in, and this is how it works. Yeah, so basically. You collect data, you need to understand what you do with the data. I think this is more important. So that you need to protect your users, that's very important. So you need to kind of look to harm to those people which kind of deliver the data to you. And as long as you kind of do aggregated views, that's from my understanding, kind of on the right side of the fence. So as a short summary. So hiding behind the law is not enough. You need to make your own decisions from my understanding and also speak up. So I had custom requests which I said, no, I won't do that. Because I think it's kind of not, it's still within the law. I could still do it because I have the consent of the user, but I think it's not worth kind of to take the risk. Especially if you work with corporate companies, they're getting kind of really kind of settled and don't want to risk their brand and their user base. So how to avoid that? I think you need to be very transparent. You need to tell the user what you're doing with the data. You get some shitstorm. If you look in the store and look at Fit, you see some kind of critics, sure. But if you are kind of transparent about it, then you just need to answer, okay, then uninstall it if you don't like it. Yeah, that's the game. But the key thing is, even if you invite someone to your kind of home, and he's a guest, he should not kind of go to the refrigerator and kind of eat your stuff, right? Even if you bought it for him. So this is kind of where you need to kind of slowly kind of find the right way. So it's about moral, it's about sense, it's about common sense, yeah, a rare thing. And if you feel uncomfortable, speak up. I think that's the important thing. So if you want to speak up when it's too much, we're hiring. So I've spent the Saturday this week not only because it's fun, but also I want to search and do talents. And we currently have openings here, so get in touch with those guys or with me after the talk. And that was it from my end.
Thank you.